There it is. I knew it would come on today. Welcome to the show, folks. Happy Wednesday. And I'm going to say the cliche thing. Wow, I can't believe it's the end of June. Insane. So, welcome. So glad you can make it. You all know this lady, April Wyatt, livingwithintention.co. How are you today, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. I can't wait for this conversation. Just having what we talked about backstage and bringing these two amazing people forward. It's going to be great.
Can you? I can't believe it's already the last panel of June Men's Health Month series. It's insane. Got tonight's conversation, folks, is called The Right Room, while relationships determine your ceiling. And these guys know all about it. Absolutely. So you're going to hear from some amazing high-level, heart-centered professionals. So glad these guys are attending today. And really just closing the theme, right, that ties the entire month together. Brotherhood, alliances, legacy, and the rooms, right, that shape what becomes possible. So, and we know this, right, April? You and I have been doing this for a while because who you surround yourself with quietly affects how you think, how you lead, how you perform, and what you believe is possible. You know, I hung around a bunch of negative Nellies, and no doubt I was negative. Right now, opposite. What do you think?
I agree 100%. It really is. And it affects our whole being and who we connect with, and especially with Phil. He's amazing. I really enjoy getting to know him backstage as well.
And I'm the most blessed guy ever. And that's not something I'm just saying, but it's true. It's an absolute honor. And it just makes all those challenges and crap in life worth it. Right. Jim Rome says, don't wish for it to be easy, wish for it to be worth it. I wanted to share that because that has anchored me in the roughest storms. So speaking of good people, he's on the show tonight, if you didn't know. So Phil Tetrew, this show is brought to you by Rapid Growth Services. Big thank you to Phil Tetrew and his company, Rapid Growth Services. If you don't know already, Phil helps business owners cut through the noise, connect strategy to execution, and stop wasting time and money on activity that does not create real growth, especially nowadays in this competitive market. Much needed. So he brings his very vast knowledge and experience in marketing, sales, business development, and leadership all together so companies can identify the right moves and actually carry them through, execute them. So we appreciate you having back in the hounds, making this possible, and really helping serious businesses and executives with more clarity, less wasted motion. And that leads me to last but certainly not least, our good friend, Dr. Christopher Colombo. This guy is an absolute unicorn, y'all. I am blessed, and we are blessed to have him in the house. So big thank you to you, Christopher Colombo, MD, and functional mentoring. He is a retired Army medical officer, executive leadership coach, and trusted guide for high-performing people navigating pressure, leadership, transitions, confidence, communication, and difficult decisions. So his work centers around good leaders becoming steady, clear, and more effective without pretending the human side of leadership does not exist. So, Christopher, you're one of a kind, man. Thank you for backing the hounds, helping us build rooms where performance and trust go hand in hand. And I want to give a real special shout out. We have a fairly new hound, and I'm going to share this and we'll get this party started, folks. Uh-oh. Are we fighting over the button?
No, I'm not touching anything.
StreamYard. What's going on?
I don't know. This recalibration experience came back up.
Well, dadgummit.
Should I share about that really quick since you got it on the screen?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Push button.
This is an amazing experience. It's a 7-week experience for high capacity women to really understand patterns that have been built into our nervous system. And so that way we can recognize them, we can see what's under that pressure and be able to, Mike, what are you doing?
Oh, it's like the
Be
Gremlins.
able to
You're tuning in the Gremlins too.
Be in more of a present state so that way we can focus with more clarity. So that's the recalibration experience. If you know of any high capacity women, scan that QR code, share that with all. And thank you so much, Mike.
You're welcome. We'll get through this. Somebody tuning in just thinks that they're just started watching the Gremlins rerun. That's okay.
Right?
All right. Real
Oops.
quick, I want to give a shout out to our good friend Victor and his book. I was wild. He's got almost 100 positive reviews. How to be happy, healthy, and whole. Really enjoy Victor. He's a great guy, and I just wanted to give him a shout out because this is Men's Health Month. And there you go. So you guys can go. He's offering a free health evaluation at yourfreehealthevaluation.com. And we'll be sharing this at the July 2nd training. I don't want to go on and on, but this is next Thursday, y'all. Push. We do these once or twice a year max. And without getting into the weeds, this was my Costco experience. Walked in, had no intention to buy a sausage. Nice old lady smiled at me, struck up a convo, gave me 5 samples. I bought 3. Walked out in the parking lot and said, oh my goodness, that's the way everything's going to be from now on. That's it. That's what this is all about. So if you're an entrepreneur, B2B, if you're just trying to grow with trusted relationships, but you're just tired of running by other playbooks and rule books that don't fit you and don't work anyway and make you feel sleazy and performative, this one's for you. So we're going to have I Am Magazine. April Wyatt will be there. We have Bruce Silverman, Purple Buffalo, and the King of Clarity, Steve Woodruff. I met him at the Innovate Summit. So we'll be giving books away, all kind of good things to help you move your business forward, folks. So there it is. If I can ever get these graphics right, there it is. So you can go to my profile, go on there. You go to YouTube. We put it everywhere. Comments Central, y'all. Share this with people. This will be life-changing for several folks. No exaggeration. So come get in the right room, learn, grow. You don't have to do nonsense all the time. There's a way for people like us. Let's go find it. All right, let's roll this intro and get these amazing guys up. How about it?
Okay, here we go.
Are you looking to grow your network and your net worth with other high-level, heart-centered professionals? Then grab a seat and your favorite beverage and join Mike Asherbrenner, the Redneck Connector. It's time for the Hounds of Business Community Happy Hour.
Oh, this is going to be a fun one. Now my mouse is dying. Oh, you know, Murphy's Law in full effect, gentlemen. How are you today? Phil Tetru and Michael Binko. How are you?
Doing well.
Excellent. How you doing, Michael?
I'm fair to middling, buddy. And we're going to let the folks know. You let the background out for me because I had duly noted that the man cave hasn't moved.
Has not moved.
And everything. It's been in the same spot since I've known you, man. I love it. You're a tidy guy, so appreciate you being here. And Phil, I told Phil backstage that we got to calm Phil down, y'all. Like, he's a wild character, right? But good to have you, gentlemen. So take a moment. Maybe some folks don't know you yet. Just, hey, who are you? What do you do in general? Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Michael. Serial entrepreneur by background. I did not know I was going to be an entrepreneur. Had grown up around family that were entrepreneurs, but nobody ever talked about that as a career path. Stumbled into it right out of college. Recruited myself in to work with an entrepreneur in the tech space that was going somewhere, and just loved everything he was all about. It was Bill Schrader, the founder of one of the first commercial internet providers in the 90s. And he was very willing to let young people take on probably more responsibility than they should have. And his comment was, I'm going to let you do things you're qualified for as long as we don't get it off the rails too much. And what a credo for entrepreneurs that are kind of building early innovations and kind of trying to find their way into the market. And I know we're going to talk a lot about intention, surrounding yourself with people that can amplify and raising your ceiling by those communities. And I have seen that over 40 years of working with entrepreneurs, and most recently an ecosystem building around entrepreneurship.
And real quick side note, when I met him through Kevin Smith. You're the brother-in-law he's always talking about, folks. If y'all don't know this, he picked up all of Kevin's doodles and ideas and said, wow, you got a sustainable model to spread kindness across the globe. And I could just see Kevin going, do I? You know, like, really? And then I thought you were a college professor. So you were really excited about ecosystems. I'm like, okay, to each their own, you know, like some people watch TV, you like community. I don't know. But then I found out, I was like, wow, this guy knows this stuff. So it's going to be a great combo. Appreciate you being here, brother. And to talk about you, not kindness. all day, right? Like, this is fun. And well, we just saw this amazing guy on the picture. Thank you, Phil, founder of Rapid Growth Services. Take it away, man. Tell the good folks a little bit about your background and what you're doing today to help businesses.
Sure. So, been involved in the tech space for a long time, but I started off early being an entrepreneur as well. Back in the '90s, involved in a couple different companies, finding my way, kind of blindly finding my way. And then I had the opportunity to go work for some very big software providers and learn structure and discipline, strategy. To both the organizations, bigger companies that I worked in, I had the opportunity to basically be a well-funded startup, to go create new things, but have resources behind that enabled not only the adventure to occur, but also the learning to occur. And 3 years ago, I started Rapid Growth Services and working with early stage entrepreneurs and bringing them some of that structure, those lessons, but doing it in a way that is not overbearing on them, so that it brings that operator mentality combined with the strategy that many of them lack, and how to actually have a strategic view, bring the execution to it so that you can find the success and not be one of those 60-70% that don't succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I found out the hard way, and we'll talk about this later, but there's a little unspoken thing about that, especially with startups and entrepreneurs. I didn't think I was going to win. We'll uncover that. Like, I got into business and I didn't tell myself I wasn't going to, but I thought I was going to be one of those 70 to 80% that don't. And then you do win. And then you got a whole new challenge ahead.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and then scale? What's scale? What's branding? Oh, goodness gracious. So we're going to get into it a little bit, folks, but I want to start with the central question that's behind tonight's entire combo. Essentially, what changes when someone stops trying to do everything alone, on that note, right, and starts building inside the right room? The way I see this is building the foundation and then building that empire, that skyscraper, right, that movement, that business on top of that. But I've learned early on, I am that foundation. I can't hold it up unless I'm strong enough. So on that, Phil, we're going to start with you, buddy. From the operator and growth side, what changes when a business owner finally gets around people who understand what they're building and can help them identify those right moves?
So I'm going to start kind of going before that. It's a very lonely world prior to that, because you're encountering or experiencing different challenges and most people don't relate to. So it becomes very lonely. When you start to find the right room, you've got people to share, to collaborate with, maybe to get some insights from. So finding that right room, finding those right people become very important for your growth, your development, and your future. So how you do that solves one of those early problems, which is, I'm on an island. Help me get off this island. Let me go find the mechanisms around me to guide, support. We all need a mentor someplace. So, getting to the right room is finding that mentor who's going to put their arm around me and say, come along with me.
Amen. And I imagine Michael Binko's got something great to say. That's why he's here. But that was it. And you don't have to have it all figured out. People are like, well, wait till I have it figured out until I go to the room. Dude, I found Tanya Eberhardt. Phil, we both know Tanya.
Yep.
And that was it. She looked at me in my crusty hat and, and went, oh my goodness, did that say Redneck Financial Coach? That was the right room in the comments of Russ Hedges, live stream. So, Binko, what do you want to add before I ask you a question, man?
Yeah, so the book I've never written, and everybody has encouraged me to finally do it. I'll throw it out there. Maybe someone else will write it. But in all my years of observing entrepreneurs and the ecosystems that inspire and resource them is, the concept of know what you know, but know what you don't know, and surround yourself with people who do, could not be a better comment for, particularly once you get out of that idea stage and the founding stage of your venture. And as you say, Mike, building that foundation is probably your knowledge base, your network, your expertise, and your ambition, right? And intention. But you very quickly need to realize that if you're going to hit some scale, you're not going to get there on your own, right? And that's a lesson that a lot of entrepreneurs learn maybe too late in their venture building. And I'll talk a little bit about some of that stuff later, but know what you know, but better yet, know what you don't know, and surround yourself with people who do is a good word to live by.
Beautifully said. And I want people to know this is not about having it all perfect or shame. You're going to mess up something. Like, I may be bad on the organization side and someone else is struggling on, the visibility side, right? So just don't look at other people and go, oh man, that's embarrassing. You just have a strength that they don't have and vice versa, right? But the key is get around the right people. As soon as I started attracting folks like you all to the Hounds, it was like I had a boat with holes in it and y'all plugged them. It was like, hey, I got a Phil. I can pick up the phone and go, well, I know I don't know shit about this. Phil, what should I do? Right. And vice versa. So that's exciting to me. You want to add anything, Phil? You don't have to, but
So I think an important part to keep in mind is not only do we share, but we're taking, right? And I think a lot when we come in to these worlds, we're looking at what we can take. What can I learn? What can I gather? We all have experience as well, and we have to reciprocate and we have to give back as well because there's someone else out there, whether it's in our community, in our group, in our room, that needs the expertise that we have. Each of us have a different experience that we're bringing in, and you have to be a willing participant to share as well, not just take.
yeah. I want to kind of hit this a little bit before we go. When we do networking, right, a lot of it, I'm not knocking. I'm just saying a lot of it is very performative or kind of come in, buy your tomatoes, get out kind of mentality. So you guys don't operate that way, right? You'll do them, but you guys, what do you want to share with people when it comes to building relationships? Because my mantra is, before we're business people, we're just people. I mean, you two could sell jelly beans. I would not care. I'll be like, oh, let's go find some jelly bean lovers, and that's because of that relationship, right? Pushing it. So what do you want to add to that? Because everybody seems to come in with the pitch and that's okay. But you forgot what really makes all this happen. I had a centillionaire tell me the other day, he's like, dude, at the billionaire level, it's all 100% relationships. That's it. So what do y'all want to add? Because I want to build that foundation that it's okay to go in and tell people and try to get business, but
Yeah,
you still love people. Like,
I'll just say that, relationships, your network is your inflection. It's your scale, really. Your network. But, it really is, trust is the DNA trait of relationships. And if you can demonstrate or even, contribute some sort of a trust asset into a relationship early on, that will kind of really set you apart from others. And I've tried to live by that. But I also see it in some entrepreneurs. I see some folks who are afraid to do that for a lot of reasons, which we could also get into later. But put a trust asset out there when you're trying to build a relationship.
Well, Phil, we do that all the time. I mean, it's organic. It's not forced. It's not a tactic, right? It's, hey, someone talks. And we were talking about that earlier, Phil, to Michael's point. People talk in confidence, right? You're not going to go online and see someone saying, hey, I feel really bad, want to jump off something tall. And, you're not going to do that, right? And I get it. But they will talk to a friend who goes, hey, let me help you. And if you have a mutual friend with Phil and this person, they're going to reach out. And that's how we got all this momentum going, right? With Kevin and everything else. And Kevin's the master of it because he's not he's not manipulating. Flattery says, I want something. People can smell that. I see you. Hey, I just like who you are, man. You seem honest, right? We share values. So this is not hokey stuff. This is the foundation of what you gentlemen have built a really big business and success legacy on. And I want to make sure that's clean. So Michael, all right, let's get back to you.
Yeah. So
I want to make sure.
Add two words there.
Please.
What Michael said, right? So as we talk about trust, two things that I focus on in any relationship. One is be meaningful in the relationship. The second thing is be valuable in the relationship. Not the value I'm taking, the value I'm giving. Right? Yeah. If I want to build trust, I have to step into it. I have to be the first one to lean in, not be the first one to take from. And if I do that, think about the rooms that we go into. How many people are in those rooms? How do I become the one who's known in that room? How do I get to know people? Not to be on the stage, but to be the one that they remember me afterwards and said, oh, I remember I met Phil. I remember I met Mike. I remember I met Michael, right? You want that type of thing. And the only way you get that is because you're meaningful, right? You're meaningful and you added value to somebody. A simple thing, a smile, they're having a bad day, a little bit of something else, right? It's not that challenging to be valuable, but it has to be on the forefront of your mind in order to be able to accomplish it.
I'm about to lose it. Daryl Isaacs, he's a big deal out here, injury attorney. He went to the Innovate Summit. I went nuts. I think I scared him off because I got so excited. But the man said, if you want to be the most powerful person in the room, be the most vulnerable. If you want, and this man was living it anyway. He said the one thing that freed me, right? And think about this. I wouldn't remember the sales pitch, right? But he says, look, I can't tell you the attorneys that we hired what their accolades were, education. He said, if I don't connect with them, I don't hire them. I about lost it right in the middle of the summit, y'all. I was like, I'm not a weirdo, because I felt this time. I'm like, listen, there's 8 billion people. I mean, I'm going to find the right fit until that's going to serve the mission, you know? And I want people to understand that's the horse comes before the cart. And that's, so even if you're crusty, folks, even if you're not all dialed in, right? Join the club, number one, work towards that. That's what we're talking about. But there's no expiration date on relationships. You never know who could help you. I mean, one day April was at a thing and, you know, she knew somebody. You just never know. So you just want to love on everybody and be respectful. And then you figure it out with the help of them. So Michael, all right, on your innovation side here, what changes when someone gains proximity to those people who can exchange the idea, strengthen it, connect it, and move it forward? I'm sure you got an example or a story, right?
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is confidence, right? So, you know, as a solopreneur or just getting out of the gate, and I look at venture building from a life cycle stage perspective, and I kind of identify 5 life cycle stages for any venture, right? There's the idea stage. We talked about that. A founder stage. Bootstrap is when you're kind of piecing it together. You maybe haven't quit your day job yet, but you haven't gotten the confidence to move into it full bore, you and or a co-founder or a team. Then you kind of get the late bootstrap where you're kind of getting some sight lines to resources, customers, revenue, your co-founder or your employee. And then really the fun begins at that inflection curve of ramp up, speed up. And then, you know, what we used to call an exit is, you know, you don't want to necessarily think about your exit when you're founding it, but if you think about it too late, you're not going to be making the right moves and have confidence in those moves to present an opportunity for yourself, your employees, your investors. You kind of owe it to yourself and the folks that supported you to kind of have a pathway to some sort of result. Could be a lifestyle business for you that you hand on to a generation. But it, you know, in the tech space, it's typically an exit, or we now call it a harvest, to keep it in the ecosystem vernacular, and really gaining confidence and sight lines to resources that you might not be able to muster on your own.
Absolutely. Phil?
I think right to Michael's point, right? I look at things in the context of what we don't know, and somebody around us knows somebody who knows somebody. It's that one conversation you're away from what you need. But if you're not deliberate in having that first conversation, you don't know what you're missing. And whether you're innovating or doing something else, there's only so much that we can do. There's only so much capacity, even with, you know, all the tools like I can learn it from AI or whatever. Yeah, but AI has a certain level of interpretation and knowledge that is passing to you. It doesn't have experience.
It's
right?
all left, right.
But
yeah.
I can go meet somebody who says, I have a person. Well, I can introduce you, right? That first conversation can be extremely valuable because something you've been stumbling with for a few weeks, months, whatever, all of a sudden you had an aha moment. And I look for that as how quick do you get into those aha moments with those around you? And if your network is small, constricted, and it's not benefiting you, what are you going to do about it, right? How do you get out there and find those people that are connected? And you can't choose them. You got to go explore for them. Right? I can't go on LinkedIn and say, here's the person I'm going to go meet because they've got 10,000 connections. That doesn't mean anything. But if I meet the people, I engage them, what we talked about earlier, have that good conversation, I can now begin to see what's out there, what's the benefit that it's going to offer to me, and what's the benefit I'm going to provide to it.
Oh, okay. Before we move on, I want to tackle this a little bit because we talked about it. And I wasn't going to say it out loud, but I said, if I had $1, Phil, for every time someone went, oh, that person is not active on LinkedIn, they have 90 connections, meh. And I was like, you know, how many good people, how many successful people, they're not doing a bunch of posting. They're just there for, as healthcare people are very much like that. They're not there for posting all day. They're there just to hey, who's moving what? Can I connect somebody? Is there an opportunity? So on that note, I want to hit this because we're going to talk about this next Thursday. People confuse visibility with actual authority, right? And you kind of need both. I mean, both, you really do. So here's the question out there. Can someone be highly visible and still be completely invisible to the people that can move their business? Phil?
Yeah, easily, because getting a digital connection is easy. I can send anybody a connection. Hey, let's connect. And generally speaking, people are going to do that because people are good. Accept, right? But the next thing becomes, what are you going to do with it? And this is where a lot of it falls off, is because once I make that connection, I'm not intentional. When I want to become intentional, I reach out to you and I say, hey, let's, instead of just making it a digital, let's go make it a human connection. Let's go say hello. And I do this regularly, right? I do 5+ of these a week. Just going out, if I connect with you, you're going to get up. Let's just have a chat. I'm not selling you anything, nothing business oriented. We're going to learn about each other, and we're going to have a conversation that explores that. And if you don't have that intentionality, it falls apart.
Like a medical doctor, right?
Yeah.
You don't walk in and have a chest cold. He starts selling fungal medicine. like that's the. But so many people do, and there's a projection now. We have to overcome that hurdle, and this is why the ecosystem, community, building, closeness, trust, these are not optional anymore. This is the new wave of business. The more AI continues to evolve and the challenges, and trust and belonging cannot be replaced. People are craving it. Bingo, this is your wheelhouse, Michael.
I mean, Phil, you're supposed spot on kind of, yes, asking for a connection is, just it's the simple starting point, but making it real, making it actionable, making it sustainable doesn't happen without intention. We call in the ecosystem, we call it a coalition of intention by purpose. I mean, I love these topics, Mike. You know me. I talk about invest a trust asset. So I don't know. Can I share my screen if I got something queued up, or will that be a bugaboo?
Yeah, I mean, April can yell at you for once. They'll yell at me for 10 bucks.
I'll try it and see if it works. If not, I'll try to get right out of it.
If the comments work, everybody type boo, okay?
All right, so let's see. Are you guys seeing a bus on the screen?
We should say yes. Oh, nope, there it is.
Okay, it's taking a little bit. So, Mike, you know this, but maybe for your audience, the first trust asset that we put out there as a new ecosystem by entrepreneurs and for entrepreneurs was we did a road show. We didn't have this bus at the time. We literally packed up our SUV and we rode around the state of Maryland for a new entity called Startup Maryland. And what we did is we sat in a room, the old get smart cone of silence, in entrepreneurs with entrepreneurs, gripe about what's not working, but hey, what's working in your ecosystem that we can amplify? And of all the things that got thrown up on the wall, 4 things bubbled up. They all happen to start with the letter C. So nobody celebrates us as entrepreneurs. We're alone in our echo chamber. And man, we hear about Silicon Valley and Austin, Texas, and Raleigh, North Carolina, and all these great places. What about us? So we logged that away. The other one was coaching. We'd love to learn from other entrepreneurs. Sometimes you got to see it to be it. And entrepreneur to entrepreneur doesn't happen enough. Then the last is the venture curation beyond the individual. How does the business move forward efficiently and effectively? And the last was capital. Obviously, if you need capital, it's not always equity. Maybe you want a lender. You could approach family and friends, or a co-developer, or a customer. And then when we started to look at those 4 C's, the thing that we realized was celebration. That's the easiest trust asset that we can lob into our ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we got this old RV and we busted out the back room and we made it a video studio. And we painted it with the Maryland flag and Startup Maryland, all our sponsor logos, and we hit the road. And as we went around to universities or incubators or the Main Street USA folks or the Made Here in Maryland, we invited entrepreneurs onto the bus, and they were given 2 to 4 minutes to pitch their idea in their own format. So you can see all the playlists we have over 15 years. 7,000 entrepreneurs have sat on that bus and done the hot light pitch. I'll stop sharing and come out. But that was our trust asset that we leaned in on. And what we found was some of our entrepreneurs were super confident, super ready. Most of them were not. right? And it opened a dialogue where we could say, hey, beyond us coming to you and bringing your story back with us, we'll hope you'll hang around and trust us enough to maybe be coaches or mentors for that second C and help you grind the rough edges off your venture, and then maybe be confident enough to go at it again and do another pitch.
Okay, Phil, now we got to get a bus. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's my takeaway. All right. Like, well, remind me like Scooby-Doo, but that is a really wild concept, man. I love
It
that.
is.
And you get so much done because they're scared of public speaking and all kind of stuff. And you all just kind of like, like blind date. I don't know, because that's how I view marketing, is dating, right? We're people. And so you just kind of broke all of those things and said, hey, just do it. I love it because there's so many people that are it's not really their business that holds them back, man. It's all the other things. It's a lack of confidence, looking stupid, blah blah blah. And that's a heck of a concept. I love it. I'm gonna move on because if I don't, it'll be midnight. But we're gonna hit well, both of you gentlemen are on this, but ecosystems beat isolation. And I want to have real talk here. And because it is business ownership and really just doing something that's not common, right? A lot of folks, and I'm not knocking, I just worked a job and things. So when you start doing weird things like starting a business, writing books, and going through this, it's a lot of isolation, and it could be. So Phil, your lane, obviously, again, growth, execution, business development, and also ecosystems. Let me see. What happens when a business starts thinking in terms of an ecosystem instead of just random person-driven activity?
So many of them start thinking about ecosystem early on. But what they don't understand is what they mean by ecosystem.
Yeah.
What does it mean, right? I get a lot of people that say, I want to have partnerships. Okay, tell me what a partnership means, right? What's the value it's going to bring for you? Things like that. So helping to define what that ecosystem is. Operating in a closed environment doesn't provide any benefit. Getting into the ecosystem does, but there's a lot of bad pathways in an ecosystem as well. So you have to really take that outside in look at your business and say, if I was doing business with them, what would it look like, right? And now if I'm looking from the inside out, I'm doing the same point of view again. So what benefits my business, right? So if I want my ecosystem, I'm defining from a hypothetical standpoint, what are those different elements that I want as part of my ecosystem? It begins as a hypothesis because now I have to go out and test them. Is this really a good thing as being part of my ecosystem? Validate, thumbs up, thumbs down, right? And have a finite amount of time in which I'm investing effort, so I shut it down. I've seen things go on for multiple years where, well, this isn't working for me. Well, it's not working for you since when? And you find out that there was an early failure point, and they just kept throwing more and more resources at it without the learning experience. So to me, it's, build the ecosystem, but understand what it means to you. What's the definition of it? Spend a little bit of time just drawing it out. Now, the hypothesis you're going to create is what the ecosystem is going to provide for you. Now begin to exercise that hypothesis and iterate off of it.
That's a heck of a point. I definitely go to Binko now, but that is, I mean, it's relatively new term. A lot of folks who don't hang online or doing their own thing, corporate executives, they may not, it's kind of a buzzword. So I assume, because I hear it a lot, right, Binko? And that's our thing. But a lot of people just, what's that? Like, is it a fancier word for community because people wanted a new word? Right. And it's not. So if you would, let us know, like, what makes an ecosystem? What is it, first of all?
Yeah.
And what makes it more valuable than just a random network with a bunch of names in it?
Yeah, and it it's interesting. It's having its moment now, right? As a concept, right? So I observed it when I was with several startups, my own, taking it forward. And Phil, your great point is like, partnerships are always, everybody assumes that's just a vibrant ecosystem, right? Well, it takes intention, right? Are you looking at those partners to be co-marketing supporters, or are they actually going to be distributors and affiliates from a channel sales perspective, which is a whole different relationship, right? Than just pointing to each other's brands and having a kumbaya session. So one of the areas that we or there's really, in my observations, I call it 7 core elements of ecosystem that make a vibrant environment for entrepreneurships, right? For entrepreneurs. So obviously you need entrepreneurs, but then you also need, there's an economic development swim lane that if you don't have those resources or some incentives for entrepreneurs and ventures to be there, it's more challenging and it's difficult to recruit talent and upside. You do need a little bit of placemaking. I think COVID proved to us that hybrid is real. And for a lot of growing companies, it's the right mix has to be a little bit in person for purpose, but let people go and do what they need to do on the road or virtually because it can kind of keep your costs down. Community and what I call social innovation and development is important. You've got to get out of your echo chamber, like we talked about. If you're in the tech space, a little research, a little tech transfer, know who your universities are, your libraries. There are resources out there that you would never be able to muster on your own. Go find them and use them because they're available to you. Your tax dollars, it's certainly at an R1 institution, are available to you. Policy. I am the most, I used to say I'm the most apolitical person. And then somebody said, no, you're not, Bingo, you're omnipolitical. And I'm like, Danny, you're right. You've got to just be willing to get out there. And the way we approached it with Startup Maryland as an entrepreneur ecosystem was toxic because everybody was trying to figure out what party are you with? And we're like, our party is entrepreneurship. If you want to come celebrate with us, we'll be over here helping entrepreneurs. If you don't want to be seen as supporting entrepreneurs, ignore us at your peril. And we've got a ton of data that you care about for your campaign or for your administration. So they all come around eventually when they start seeing entrepreneurs getting around each other. And then the last one is just the venture development lens of how do you take measured steps to get from that ID and bootstrap stage to ramp up, speed up, and eventually exit and harvest.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because you don't have to start a community and do this yourself. Your ecosystem is all around you. It could be virtual and different resources, tapping into nonprofits like Phil's, right? Going in it. There's so many things, and I appreciate you saying that. And I love you sharing that because it was a while back. I said, listen, we're the hounds of business, not politics, not, assholery like this. We're in business, right? Like I don't even engage in that. And I think that's another point that I want to bring up, Bingo, if you don't mind. It seems to me, and again, I do them. I'm not studying like you, and you do a lot more, right? You help others figure it out. You got the bus, but value seems to be really, when it comes to a group of people and shared values and community, value seems to be that common denominator. Yeah, of course, industry and all these things, resources are important, but what would you think? Because that's it. Like if you're divisive and you're not a good fit in the culture, you're probably not a good fit in the ecosystem. So do you see the horse before the cart? Do you see people bonding in value?
We say it's ecosystem, not ecosystem, right? And it's a hackneyed term as well, but who's investing intentionally in their peers and those who are kind of being they're co-opting the ecosystem for a purpose. And I'll be honest with you, because we're an entrepreneur driven ecosystem. We'll call it out, man. We'll typically call it out in a private scenario directly to the, ego offender. And if they don't get that message, then we get a little more direct with them that you got to change your attitude. And we're here to help, to be honest with you. And oftentimes, a lot of our angel investors were not entrepreneurs themselves, so they didn't understand being in the boots. And we had to have some serious conversations. And we went so far to actually creating an angel boot camp in Maryland that we're training investors on how to look at early stage entrepreneurs. It's not a real estate investment. This is people's lives and their families that you need to be attentive to that. And if that's not right for you, you might not be right to be an angel investor.
But see, something stood out there, Phil. You just didn't go, you're not a good fit. Let's go find someone else. See, that's the care factor in a real ecosystem, real community. You're like, hey, you're good people. You come from a different, you play baseball, I play basketball. How about we show you? And then if you still don't want to play, we'll go from there. And that's what attracts people like you, Phil, right? Like you want values. You don't want somebody's going to throw you out just because it's inconvenient, right? Like, in today's competitive market, you want somebody who has some grace and compassion and, errors on that side of, hey, maybe it's not him being troublesome. Maybe it's just new. Maybe we can guide, right? What do you think?
Fully agree. I mean, you touch on compassion, right? Compassion, empathy, We all come from different places, different backgrounds. We don't all have the same learning experiences. And the more we progress in our careers, so a young entrepreneur at say 21, 22 years old is going to have a thimble of experience versus somebody like ourselves that has 35, 40, 50 years of experience. Doesn't make anybody better than the other. It's just that we've had, right, more coffee in the cup, so to speak. Right now I want to be able to share that, right? And the younger person though brings a different level of value into that conversation because they look at the problem in a different way. We have predisposed views on how we start to look at things based on all the experiences we've accumulated. A young person not having that looks at the problem differently. So I think when you have that compassion and empathy for the different opinion that's in your room, and if somebody's not there, bring them forward with you. But again, as we touched on a few times, what am I going to get from them? Because they're going to maybe show me a different way of thinking, a different way of instead of looking at it from straight, I'm going to go to the right side. I'm going to look at it differently. What's my point of view now as I make that transition myself? And in order to do that, again, I have to have that compassion to invite, the empathy to understand, and then the willingness to make my transition.
Hey, absolutely. And then how does that translate practically? Hey, Phil said you should meet somebody. Okay. Like it, like that's, hey, Phil, you need to meet this person. Here's why. Okay. Because you develop that trust by interacting, by trial and error, right? By experience. And so whether you're a massive, executive or you're a startup, it's the same fundamentals. Okay. And I want to emphasize that because that's the truth. Hey, Phil said we should talk. All right. I'm all ears, literally and figuratively, right? See it? But, and that is the way to build because I'm not knocking it. If other people are good at, the one-offs and the transactions, there's a place for it. If you sell coffee cups on Amazon, you may not need this as much. Not knocking it. But there's so many people out there copying transactional playbooks thinking they suck. And I'm telling you, every single opportunity I've had come through people, right? Sometimes whining. And I mean, it's because you know each other, right? Like you open up. April helped me. There's not a lot of rednecks doing breath work and putting their toes in the grass intentionally, right? But now I got Cletus doing it because his knees hurt and he needs to rest. I mean, the compound effect of being in the right room, because it's lonely. If you're around a bunch of negative people or people who aren't building and creating, good luck. Now you're adding extra weight to that journey, right, Michael? And that's the problem. And so many benefits. We go on and we won't, but I'll just close it with this little redneckism, I guess. It's not just a more people to keep up with. That's not. A real ecosystem creates leverage, like farming, right? You keep watering it, take care of conditions, they crop like corn, right? Cultivate the land. Stop worrying about the immediate outcome. That's my school of hard knocks lesson. So I want to talk a little bit before we close out about innovation and how you need the right people in it. I mean, Michael, you're a boss and all of the things you do. I mean, that picture is worth 1,000 words. So you're around founders, innovators, startups, even people who've made it, right? New ideas. You're a great catalyst for new ideas, kindness worldwide, right? So what role does the right room? And when we say right room, it could be a lot of things, right? It could be on comments here, could be in a networking event, could be in person, right? Or bus. But when we say that, what role does that play in helping to move an idea instead of just staying stuck in someone's head or staying stuck in that early stage chaos that feels so good at helping people get out of?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important, Mike. And I would say it this way, we're here out in the DC, Maryland, Virginia kind of metroplex, right? So high tech, high growth, a lot of government, innovation is squarely available to us as a community of entrepreneurs. Same with Phil down Art Research Triangle Park down in North Carolina. One of the challenges I've observed with, just startup Maryland and the DMV is like, the rooms you need to be in are not the rooms you're typically in, right? If you're getting too comfortable with your wall hasn't changed or things like that, you got to find some new rooms to get in. And I say it this way, like a lot of, right now, cloud computing, cybersecurity had its run, mobility, now it's AI and quantum and related. And I would say, around here, we have a lot of PhD and engineer founders, right? And they have their moment to kind of go and bring something out to market. Boy, are they used to peer review accolades. And it's difficult if you've created a decades long, professional credential around doing peer-reviewed journal entries where, yes, you'll get a critique, but it's from a friend you'll know at a symposium and see him and, bust their chops next time.
Right.
We find that those folks are often more challenged to get into uncomfortable or unfamiliar rooms. Whereas the entrepreneurs who are willing to go out on the street and hustle to sell something, they'll shop their wares anywhere. And I would say you want to get out of the typical familiar rooms. That's my one advice. Find rooms that are not echo chambers.
Oh, hearing you talk, Phil, I'll just piggyback to you. Hearing you talk made me think of all the corporate folks leaving in their 40s and 50s, and then they come and they're conditioned. That's how corporate does, right? And then you're like, what the hell is happening in entrepreneurship? You see me and, you're like, you're cussing and, and so it can be a culture shock. But Phil, I mean, especially when the game changes or a company pivots, what is your thoughts on what we're talking about, what Binko said, innovation? Because in some rooms, it'd be a dumb idea. You might get fired, etc. But if you're in the right room, ecosystem, folks like Binko, my God, I mean, Kindness Worldwide was born, right? And I love saying that to some people. They're like, well, how did you get it? I said, because I didn't think it was a joke when it started. Like, I mean, honestly, I saw the value. A lot of people didn't, right? So what do you have a vast experience in this, because good ideas can die or flourish based on who you're around, right?
Very, very much so. I'm going to touch on a couple of themes that we've talked about today. One is you have a hypothesis, right? So I might come up with a hypothesis of the room that I want to be in. And I have to come up with a plan for how to get in that room. But when I get there, just because I've arrived doesn't mean I'm at the right destination. So you got to look at it and say, is that the room that I belong in now that I'm here? Because the facade that it portrays on the outside might not be the reality that it offers on the inside. So you have to be deliberate in understanding what it is that you want, the room that you want to be in, the people that are in that room that you want to be engaged with. And as you're going around, you might have to try 3 or 4 different rooms to find the one that best aligns with what you're looking for. And it's not people that are going to shake their heads and agree with you. It's the people that are going to be valuable for you. They're going to challenge you. They're going to help you think through things, right? Michael, when you were saying, right, the people that don't want you to challenge their idea, right? It's great for, somebody in a peer review because, oh yeah, I'm going to see you. We're going to go have dinner together and drink. Perfect. Okay. But it's all because it's a professional. But if I come in and say what you're doing is wrong, the ego does get in the way. What do you mean it's wrong? And especially as I work with tech founders and you're talking about how to go sell, the product's not important. The problem it's solving is important. And they try to focus more on how great the offering is. I could really care less about how great the offering is. Is it going to allow me to get to the resolution that I'm looking for? And when you start to change the conversation, it fractures the egos and it does create a little bit more turbulence in conversation. So am I in the right place with the right people for those conversations?
And thank you for hitting that, because you are great at strategy, competitive advantages, right? Manufacturing, execution. But that's the thing. If you're in the wrong room with the wrong people with the wrong attitude, because sometimes we'll say, oh, the strategy didn't work. No, it was the people executing. It was right. And so you're really good at zooming out going, hey, here's the real problem, right? Like if you had a whole bunch of accountants that had to bake a cake, like it's not what they're here for, and It's like some people are good at enforcement and some are not. So that kind of positioning is what you see that a lot of strategists and folks on the surface don't see that. And of course, Binko does, because hell, the entrepreneurship definition is disruptor. I mean, that's why I'm here, right? I didn't realize, like, wait a minute, did that say disruptor in the dictionary? Yeah, that's a job for me, I guess.
Just short of agitator, but at times you need to be.
Yep.
Right. But it's not for attention. It's just because, and I think
we need a better way sometimes, right?
Yeah, because I mean, I'll look at that and go, am I just being disruptive to get attention and a hug? No. Yeah, like I'd check myself every now and then. Just say, no, I'm doing this because people need it, right? Like, and that's a good sign of leadership. Because I know you guys, side note, you guys do a lot of stuff. You're like, I'd rather not, but it's going to advance the mission, right? And sometimes that's speaking up when it's uncomfortable, and other times it's being quiet, right, when you want to speak. And I think that's, to me, that's the hallmark of the characteristics of the ecosystem. If the men and women around you all just balance that humanity, right? You know, me and April, we're very different people. We get along, but the way we handle any weirdness or anything is a master class, to be honest. And that comes from respect and things in this alliance, and that's what we're talking about here, right? Kevin told me no. I'm going to spill the beans. I want people. I asked Kevin for an intro. He said no. I ain't gonna lie. I was a little bit butthurt for about that long. But here's what happened. This is the power of an ecosystem. When you do business and love the people around you and get to know them. And it was it. I said, you know what? I trust him. I mean, that's it. I knew hey, I'm going to defer that. And guess what? A month later, big opportunity comes. Thank goodness I didn't burn that bridge, Phil. Thank goodness Redneck got a maturity. But it's because of the people I'm around in large part. So that's it. And Phil, real quick before we move in, where do you see innovation? I mean, we talked about this, but is it really, in your experience, is it a lot of times in general, especially with corporations, is it the strategy and the execution, or is it the alignment of the culture? And is that something you help with? I just want to make sure that's clear.
It's a little bit of both, right? Because the culture of the organization needs to have alignment, right? So if you're going to innovate and the culture of the organization is a no change culture, right? We've been doing it the same way. You can't innovate, right? So I can bring somebody in as a change agent and say, hey, go do this. But they are now anchored by the organization and the culture. So innovation does require a good culture, but it also requires the right mentality. And I was working with somebody recently, and one of the things we started our conversation on innovation with is our best friend is going to be failure. And the reason for that is you can't be afraid to fail. You actually have to embrace it. You want to go out there, because when you're innovating, I might bring 10 different ideas to the table for conversation. As we can diving in and exploring them, only one might surface itself to the top that we're going to go forward with. You might have a lot of that's a great idea, Mike, but it's not quite going to fit over here. But hey, Michael's got an additive to it that maybe if we took that idea and we went like this, that gives us something more beneficial. So the collaborative nature around innovation is equally as important, and that becomes back to what the culture is. So setting the culture is a big catalyst for it.
Yeah, and I'm going to pivot because we're running out of time. But on that note, I want to make sure we're talking about connecting with people, right? On the human level, shared values, there's reason, overlap, like you sell cookies, I sell milk, these components coming together. Mm-hmm. But then here's what happens, right? So a lot of folks, they get excited, right? Because partnerships could form. They say they want them, but how many times do we see them not move, right? And so someone has a good call, they get all excited, they're like, yeah, we should do something together, woohoo! And then 6 months later, ain't nothing happening, right? And it just drops. So on that note, what separates a relationship or alliance that compounds from one that just has a good conversation that goes nowhere? Is it just intention? Is it, in your experience, Phil, we'll go, well, Michael, because you're probably dying at the bit. This is an ecosystem questions.
Oh man, I was hoping you're going to go to Phil. Now, I mean, I would say the intention, it really matters as the core. Those trust assets. If it's not intentional, I don't think trust assets are really being brought to bear, right? And then you've got to set some. I'm a milestone-driven actor, right? Kevin says we have a bias towards action for kindness worldwide in our ecosystem. Absolutely, but we also are realistic about the facts that partners need to both be accountable to metrics and have milestones. And very early, you need to identify what they are. And if they need to shift, you got to shift them efficiently. So partnerships, relationships, ecosystems are iterative by their very nature. They're intentional and they have to be iterative. And, I was looking, you saw me looking behind me earlier. I'm looking for a book that is a manual that I can't find in my office. It's the Lean Startup Manual. That is just it's a Bible for anybody, whether it's a tech company or not. Customer discovery, iterative approach, and lean and agile, being willing to move the mark and the milestone is absolutely a best practice.
Yeah, Phil, from the operator side, what turns relationship energy to actual execution? Is it asking? Is it being referable? What are some of the biggest things, especially with executives and scale ups and the people you work with?
So the first thing is it has to have substance. And quite often, look at the paper that a partnership's on. There's no substance in it. So if there's no substance, how do I convert that into an execution activity? The other has to be, how is it going to get executed? Simplicity is a core tenet of execution. We overthink things frequently, so you got to bring it down to simple. Now the relationship piece of it comes in. Who's leaning in first? So who's going to take that responsibility? If I want you to be my partner and I say, hey, I want you to go sell my goods, I'll give you a couple hours of training and off you go. No. My responsibility is to help you acquire your first client, help you get that first win. That is me leaning into the partnership, giving first before I'm expecting you to do for me, right? And that's a key element that's missing quite often because there's no substance what we're going to do, there's no simplicity about the execution, and there's no leaning into it.
I'm not even gonna ask the question. Bingo, this is like made for you. I love that, Phil. You're dead on, brother. I don't want to mess it up with any isms. Absolutely. Bingo from the bus driving. And by the way, if you got 4 more buses, you could put the whole state of Maryland in it, right? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go fund me, baby. I wouldn't have said that.
We're gonna go scoop up Rhode Island and bring it down here.
There you go.
I was gonna say there's probably smaller states I should pick on. No hate mail. Go. I love you, Maryland. There you go. But anything to add, because in my case, folks, it was being referable. I always have lots of people who love, believe in me. And then I was like, why ain't they referring me? Because you're as clear as mud and mud. Nobody didn't tell nobody. But sometimes that's because you don't want to push. You don't want to feel or accidentally come off like you're taking advantage of this alliance or, but also it's kind of goofy. That was a me problem, right? If you ask, Phil's a big boy, he'll say no, right? Like Kevin. And then they come back around when the time is right. So what do you want to add? Because there's a lot of people going, well, I'm worried. Maybe you should stop worrying and just start communicating a little bit.
I mean, that's it. It's get comfortable sharing, to be honest with you. I mean, share your opportunity, your enthusiasm. And the reason why the video pitches on the bus we could have just had a conversation over coffee or tea or a beer in the little galley in the front. But we did the video because what it really gave us was a moment to say, you know what, we're coming to you and we're bringing your story back with us and we're going to raise it up if you're ready for it to find a resource to help you get to that next level. But then what we also did was it gave us an honest moment, a little tough love moment to say, hey, you did really good at your ambition, your enthusiasm, you know what you know, but man, you didn't give the financial model very well, did you? And you didn't brand yourself very well. So, allowing folks to kind of ease into their own story and iterate on it.
And I'm going to close this out with a warning so people don't have to spend years on it. The more you can drop your ego at the door, the more you can be more coachable, more open to constructive criticism. And I think, gentlemen, if you want to add, but closing this up, when you're around people that have your back, right? That, to me, I have people who support me, believe in me, but they will also say, hey, you're about to crash your car, right? Or what's going on. And you have to be able to receive that because no ecosystem can make up for you. Yeah, you got to be willing to receive it, right? And that's why it works. There's a bunch of guys in your space, but you're here. That's because we connected on that level. Like I will back you guys up from here to Sunday, right? Even if you say, hey, I don't know what you're doing, Mike. Like, you got to be open, because do I want to be happy and feel good, or do I want to win? Do I want to make impact? And I think that's what ties it together. Phil's not trying to sell me. If he takes the time to correct me, thank God he didn't invoice me. And that's how I look at it. Like, I'm still waiting for Binko. I mean, look at the notes. I mean, damn. So, but gentlemen, I appreciate this. We're going to go to the lightning round. Just these are usually great and awful, and it's on me, so don't worry about it. But I like these because whatever comes to mind, people, we think we're alone. We got to knock it off. So thank you, gentlemen, for sharing and being vulnerable. Don't leave yet. I want to make sure people know where to go, what they can do to support, learn more, benefit themselves. You guys got websites, all kind of stuff. So what is one sign? Phil, we'll start with you. We'll pick on you. What is one sign? It could be anything, internal, whatever, that someone is in the wrong room.
The one word that comes to my mind is negativity.
Oh,
As soon as I hear that, wrong room.
wow. Okay, Binko?
I don't have one word, but I'll try to keep it short.
That's
if,
okay.
If you're in a room like at a conference or a symposium and the speakers usher themselves off the back of the stage and out a side door, and they're not in the mosh pit yucking it up with the attendees, and you paid for that privilege for them to walk off the stage, you're in the wrong room. You don't ever need to do that event again. Get that off your to-do list. Find the ones where people are going to sit and come off the stage and engage with the audience.
Oh, that's a short video. I even wrote the time down. I was like, all right, make sure you pick that one. Yeah, bingo. I love it. I wish I was playing this game. All right. What is one trait that makes someone highly referable, Phil?
You touched on it earlier, being vulnerable, right? Opening yourself up, and you put yourself out there who you are. If I see somebody do that, then I know they're going to fit, because they will enter the room without their ego. They're going to enter the room as themselves. They're going to be human. I use that a lot. Just be human, right? And it's like walking down the aisle at the grocery store. I don't care whether you're the CEO of the biggest company in the world or you're, not that. Is when we're walking down and we're pushing our cart and we're grabbing a can of something off the shelf, we're the exact same person, right? So be human, be vulnerable.
See, from my vantage point, that's what I liked about you. You're clearly very accomplished. You know how to handle yourself, but you're just so damn down to earth. It's like Tanya. I said, I phrased that. I said, people who still shop at Walmart, even though they can maybe buy one. It's just such a great thing to see. Like, wow, you never could peg it. To you, Binko, what is highly referable?
I mean, totally +1 on what Phil said. And the other thing is, other than, be human, is, I'll put my kindness worldwide hat on. Be kind. Like, you don't know what people are coming into that day with or leaving it with. And if you are intentional about that, I think that's just one personality trait, or that trust asset of being kind and human. We all need that right now.
Oh, beautiful. And that doesn't mean you can't set boundaries. I told someone no in the most kind way, but no is no. You got to protect you. So last two, what is one thing people need to stop doing in networking? Phil?
Stop trying too hard.
I'll second that.
I see people come in, they try way too hard, and they're trying to sell and do something else. What we just talked about, be human. Just come in there, right?
Next question.
I just want to say hello to you.
100%.
Let me
I got nothing bad there, Mike.
Listen to you. Right? So don't try. Just relax yourself.
Right. The most attractive man and woman at the singles club doesn't need a sales pitch at first. They just need to just walk in, smile, and just be okay. I hope she's still here. Eco Sam told me, she's like, hey, I just decided to kind of shorten what I said at networking and just try different things. That's what I like about her. And guess what? People leaned in. Tell me more. It took me 4 years to realize that. It took her 10 minutes. Thank God. But you're right. Just let people lean in. Just, like Binko and you said, do something nice and leave it there, right? Let them come back and decide to lean in. Curiosity. All right, last question. What is one relationship that changed your trajectory throughout some point in your career? Phil?
So I had a relationship with somebody in my workplace that, when I use the word be human, taught me about that word and took me out of being a grinder, go sell, to be human first. Make the connection. Or if you want to succeed in sales, be a friend with somebody, get to know them. If I'm selling a $5 widget or I'm selling a $5 million widget, be human. And that was the one thing that I've never lost in my career, and kind of how I've got it myself, is stick with that as the beginning element. Mike, you mentioned you don't know what kind of day somebody's had. Good day, bad day, whatever. If I just am I bull in a china shop and I'm just going forward and I don't pay attention to that, I lose connection. I lose the understanding. Be human. It's a very simple thing. It's hard, but it's simple.
I thought you were born that way, Phil. I got more respect that you came like Return of the Empire, the dark side.
I used to be put my head down, put my blinders on, and everything would just go forward. And somebody sat me down one day and said, "Be human." And it came after a 360 review where I couldn't understand why people didn't. I was like, "Hey, I'm doing all these things for them," and they're like, "But you're not being human. You're being a machine." And that was an aha moment that I had to say, step back, take a deep breath, and be different. So
see, when you're surrounded by people, man, the growth, and you were willing to receive it. And by the way, the right room, we went to Podfest. Usually I stick out, right? There's not a whole lot of, upper level rooms where everybody's dressed like this. But we went to Podfest, there was ladies in chicken suits. I'm like, dude, I'm not even a thing at Podfest. Like, I'm just normal. Like, wow, So, get in. And then when you don't fit in, you stand out. I mean, again, not performatively, just because you're individual. Otherwise I just go work a job. And so own it. And if people are booing you, you're in the wrong damn room. Boo. So Binko, I ain't letting you get away with it. All right. So what is one relationship that changed your trajectory?
Well, I mentioned him earlier, and I don't know. I won't go too long into this. You might even know this story, Mike. But Bill Schrader, the founder of PSINet, one of the first commercial internet companies. So I was a 22-year-old, fresh off the college graduation, was at a firm in Washington, D.C. He came down from New York to he's trying to find the firm that was going to help him keep Congress out of the internet as far as regulating it. Our firm totally fudged the pitch to him, and he dismissed us. He's like, "Thank you. You're not my firm. See ya." We get back to the office and a week goes by. I haven't heard about anybody following up with Bill Schrader. And I was a college kid getting everybody Diet Cokes and coffees. And I went to my boss and I said, "David, I didn't hear that anybody followed up with Schrader. He's doing some interesting things that I heard about in college." And he's like, "Nah, bull in the China shop. He's rough around the edges. Nobody wants to work with him. But here's his business card. Get in touch with him if you want to." And all it had on it was an email in 1992. I still was on a mainframe fax machine at James Madison University. They hadn't kicked me off yet. So I packed up my card. I went down to my buddies who were still there for their 4.5-year, 5-year. And I went to the computer lab. I wrote out an email to Bill saying, "Hey, I see great vision of what you're doing. If we can do anything for you, here's my phone number and my email." I hit send, packing up my backpack to go drink with my buddies, and I got the reply message. And his message was, "Who is this? What firm are you with? I didn't think any of you were on the internet. I'm coming down to DC. Meet me for lunch. I like your style." And it opened up a pathway I would have never been able to navigate on my own, because I had a creative idea to send an email to a guy that I thought was doing interesting things. You never know what your actions are that are going to open up a door. Just do it.
Yep.
Yeah, and also because someone shut you down don't mean the next person will. Right? Bill Gates, we go on and on, but we won't, because it's getting late. And, bathroom break is calling our names. So, gentlemen, honestly, honor to work with, to be friends with, to have you on the show. This is the call to action, as corny as it may sound. So, real quick, where can folks find you? Where can they go? Phil, your website?
Website, I actually got a link. So, easiest way is I like to connect with people. So instead of going to my website, you're going to get a bunch of digital information. Scan the QR code. Let's just have a chat. No agenda.
Yeah.
We come in, we meet each other. I guarantee we'll find a topic. I've done probably 300 plus of these kind of conversations globally. And we just, in 25 minutes, we'll have a good conversation that'll be valuable for both.
That's it. And Phil is not into selling bald people haircuts or, hey, if you have a solution, let's get to it. If you're, and that's the way we like it. And I love it. So, Michael, you got too many daggone things.
I was just going to say LinkedIn's the best way, and there's some contact info in there, but just do a connect outreach. And I'm trying to be pretty good about that lately, but yeah, I love just trying to connect. And if you got a question that you're burning on, just pop it in your connection request, and I'll try to get a quick response to you, or just pick up the phone, get on the phone with you.
Hey, folks, there you go. Thank you for tuning in. These are rock star individuals and professionals. That's how we roll. Folks, shameless plug, all right, because this is going to be life-changing. I want to do this for the people that need it the most. I fell through the cracks. I crawled out. I'm still in the cracks the best I can. That's what this is. So thank you for our partnerships. Thank you, gentlemen, for making this possible. I am April Wyatt back there running this backstage. Yeah, thank you all. And Mike King Biz, he's been out here pushing us on the radio and his live streams. So, folks, don't go at it alone. Come in, right? Take that little toothpick, right? right? That sausage, this is your sample. This is your Costco experience, redneck way. And show up, all right? Share it with a friend. We're going to have a great time, all right? So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for doing this. Victor, thank you for sharing the book. Hope people buy that. And we're going to be giving that away, some of the giveaways and everything else. So thank you all. Have a good day. Appreciate you. And no Hounds episode. I'm going to take a break. All right, Santa can do it. I can do it. So we're going to take a break, but we're going to come back and really vamp this up to the next level, gentlemen. So
awesome.
Thank you all.
Mike,
all
thank
right,
you and the Hounds. And Phil, it's a pleasure to join you on this forum.
Thank you. Likewise, myself. Joining.
My pleasure. All right. I'm not going to push the button, April. Take us home. Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.